Morning, Paul Georgi from Allendale. It's June 23rd, 2010. The outside markets this morning, dollar down slightly, crude oil down sharply, however, down 120 points. A lot of that is attributed to the API numbers that came out yesterday, showed a large increase in crude oil stocks, and now the trade is waiting for EIA to come out with the Energy Department's numbers here, so that comes out at 9:35 here this morning. Trade was looking for actually a decrease in stocks, so we'll see, and waiting for that number to come out here at 9:35. Stock market this morning showing a little strength. Futures are up about 30 points after yesterday's sharp break, which had its impact on all the commodities yesterday. Some follow through in corn expected here this morning, down 1 to 3 cents. Weather forecasts right now are for this moisture that we've got moving across the Midwest and continuing to move through the Midwest here into the weekend. Should disappear next week, go into a drier time, go into a warmer to hotter time here for the full week during the 4th of July holiday. So that some people are looking at that as positive. Others are starting to get concerned that that's the beginning of a drought, which at this point it's hard to even say the word when we've got as much water around the Chicago area here as we have over the last several days. The USDA will be releasing grain stocks and acreage numbers next week, Wednesday, on June 30th. The estimates there are for the stocks to increase. Average estimate is around 4.55 billion bushel. A year ago we were at 4.26. The acreage number is a big number that everybody's waiting to see as well. Trade is expecting that we could see an increase in corn acres and an increase in bean acres here, thinking that the USDA was very light on bean acres a year ago, in the March estimate. Other news: China is rumored to be in looking for some more corn. However, China has unloaded the first cargoes of corn that was shipped to China. They supposedly passed inspection very quickly, and that has caused a reaction in China that has drove prices down from 1 week to the next. So China's officials are starting to see some of the effects of bringing in U.S. corn, and that's what they want to see. So it looks like they've accomplished their goals here for the moment, and we would suspect that they may not be around buying more corn immediately. In the soybean market, the stocks report next week expected to be about unchanged. The acreage, again, looking for an increase in acres. However, continuing to hear reports from producers throughout Missouri, Ohio, Indiana, Dakotas as well, that are going to take the preventive planning from the crop insurance instead of trying to plant soybeans at this late date because of the extreme amount of moisture and wet conditions in those areas. The Stats Canada came out with their numbers this morning. They had the canola acreage at 17.9 million acres. That is bigger than what the trade was expecting, or at least the news wires were reporting. But as Rich Nelson in our office says here, the numbers that Stats Canada puts out this morning were their estimates before the problems of the cold and wet conditions in Western Canada have developed. So we think that these numbers may initially look bearish. The trade may slough them off and say that those numbers are way too high and expecting lower numbers on the next report. Because the situation in weather in Western Canada has not cleared up, continued to get some rain, continuing to delay any type of planting. The Canadian Wheat Board come out with their estimates here this morning, saying that they believe that only 82% of the wheat will get planted in those areas. So, and that continues to be the support and provide support for the wheat market. It's called anywhere from 2 to 4 higher here this morning, and the wheat acreage numbers that Stats Canada put out is about 10% less than a year ago's numbers. Again, a little higher than what some of the trade estimates were going into that report. The market in the grains technically are in a sideways trading range, and you find support down near the lows of yesterday and overnight. The market bounced off of those lows well here in the overnight session. We expect some two-sided trade here today. In the cattle, choice beef down 16 cents, select down 50. The cattle futures have taken the lead from the stock market. Yesterday's huge sell-off in the Dow and the stock indices carried over into the cattle. We were strong early in the day and turned around and closed weak. Technically a reversal day to the downside, but this morning we're calling that market steady to 15 higher. The demand is still there for product, and tight cattle supplies continue to support this cash futures relationship, and I think that should give us some underlying support here, unless we see the stock market collapse completely here in the next few days. In the hogs, the May cold storage numbers came out yesterday. Could be considered a little bit friendly to the meat market, simply because it showed that we had the tightest stocks we've had in 9 years, and that is showing and providing some support here to the futures. This morning we're 10 to 15 higher in the hogs. Cash markets are steady with a little weakness. A lot of packers have their Saturday slaughters already put together, so the demand at the packing level is pretty much filled here for the week. Cutout values were just slightly higher yesterday. Technically, the market closed strong in the hogs, and it looks like the uptrend is continuing. Early call again is 10 to 15 higher in the hogs. So if you got any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call here at Allendale at 800-262-7538. We wish everybody a very successful trading day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning.